In this video, we're going to be talking about integrating the shadow. We're going to discuss what the shadow is, how to integrate it, and why it's important to integrate it if you want to become the strongest version of yourself. Why is it important to integrate the shadow? So the shadow is a very difficult part of ourselves to overcome or to conquer. And the reason why is because it's not visible like the rest of our being. It's not as transparent as other aspects of ourselves. There's the physical, there's the mind, there's the spirit, and then there's the shadow. And the physical, it's pretty self-explanatory there. It's how you look, how if you take care of yourself, if you're actually hitting the gym and you're working out, trying to keep your body healthy, you're becoming physically strong. That's the physical side of you. Spiritually would be how you grow spiritually, what's the religion that you practice, are you having those one-on-one moments with yourself where you have that peace and meditation with yourself. It's more of like that inner work where you're having that spiritual connection with a higher power. And then the last one would be mentally, right? The mind. How are you stimulating your mind? Are you feeding it with positive content, whether it's with videos? Are you reading books? Are you actually doing some more self-enlightenment and understanding and acquiring new useful knowledge? And then finally, we have the shadow. And the shadow was a very repressed, very discreet part of who we are. And it's something that is not, if we don't speak about the shadow, if we don't understand it, we don't integrate it, we don't face it, it's very difficult for it to help us. If it's not integrated correctly, it can actually bring us down and hinder our progress to becoming the strongest version of ourselves. So what I want to do in this video is I want to talk a little bit more about the shadow, and I want to bring it to light so you understand what it is, and also you can use this new understanding to kill any demons that are holding you back from progress. So the shadow was introduced to the world by Carl Jung, and basically the shadow is like the suppressed version of who you are, and it happens a lot from your inner child, how you grew up, the traumas that you saw as a child. Maybe you can have like abandonment issues where maybe your dad or your mom left at an early age, so you have some abandonment issues. For each person is completely different, and that shadow develops from a very early age, and it starts to reflect throughout your whole life. So right now in the present, wherever you're currently at, it's still something that can affect your decisions, your choices, and your thoughts. So understanding the shadow is very important, and the best way to understand it is that it's something that's inside of you, and you have to look inwards to actually face it and do that shadow work. So some great ways to integrate the shadow is to actually face it. One of the biggest obstacles that I believe men face today is that they don't integrate their shadow correctly because society suppresses that shadow. And also it can be from family situations, or it can be from the way that you grew up. Maybe your parents didn't allow you to unravel that shadow version of yourself. So for example, one of the biggest reasons that I started doing martial arts is because I realized that I needed some more discipline in my life. And I also realized that I was very aggressive. I was very ambitious. Sometimes society or the world tries to give negative connotations to the words like ambition, power, self-development, persistence, perseverance, because it seems like it's a very aggressive type of energy, right? I believe that if you don't know how to integrate your shadow correctly, you can allow that aggression, that ambitious energy to spill off in an incorrect way. And examples of that could be like the mass shootings that occur in the United States, where some young boys don't really understand how the shadow works, and they don't have like that positive male masculine mentorship, and they want to express themselves, so they unfortunately unleash that shadow energy in the incorrect way, and they go on these sprees of massacring people. And it's something that it's not a gun issue, it's a personal shadow issue. It's a personal development issue where they might have been abandoned at an early age and they never got to the point where they did that shadow work, and it spills off in the incorrect way. But the problem is that as men, as people, we all have that shadow integrated within us, and it's how we develop that shadow and how we actually unleash it into the physical, into our world. One of the best ways that I know to integrate and express your shadow is to get into sports, get into something competitive like weightlifting, get into martial arts. That's the way that I did it. I started lifting weights and I started to train martial arts. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I did Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA, and that really helped me integrate my shadow, because I always knew that I was very aggressive. I was always very competitive, and this channeling it through martial arts, it allowed me to unravel that shadow side of myself and accomplish more with it. Because when I started doing martial arts, I became more fit. I was allowed to channel that competitive, aggressive energy in a correct way, and it just made me feel better. I started meeting more friends. It was the correct way to channel that energy, that shadow energy. For you, it can be completely different. You can have a completely different way of channeling your energy, right? And you can do it through sports, like I mentioned. You can do it through martial arts. You can do it in whatever you want. But you just need to understand that that shadow does live within you, and if you do not integrate it, or you don't incorporate it, channel that energy in the correct way, it will spill off in the incorrect way, and you will suffer from it. It will bring you down to like a base level. You will never get farther because you haven't done that shadow work and you haven't integrated it correctly. One thing that you need to understand right now, in whatever journey that you're in, if you're in your late teens, if you're in your early 20s, late 20s, whatever stage you're in, is that you need to do that shadow work, and you need to integrate it correctly, whether it's with sports, whether it's with a creative pursuit like video creation. Like, this is another way that I express my shadow. I like to do videos, and I like to express my creativity by making these videos. You know, lifting weights, doing martial arts, competing in different sports. You need to channel that shadow energy correctly. If not, it will spill off in a negative way. And like I mentioned, this is what we see with these young boys that they haven't integrated their shadow. They haven't become men yet, so they don't see how important that shadow energy is, and they unfortunately go down a negative route, and they do negative, destructive actions in our society. So it's very important to integrate that shadow, and understanding that shadow lives within you, and knowing how to use it for your advantage. I'll be making more videos about this topic in future videos, but I wanted to introduce the idea right now in this video, briefly talk about it so you can have a better idea of it, so you can actually understand it and conquer it and use it for your advantage. But if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also give us a like. It really helps out with the algorithm. Until next video, stay strong, stay relentless, and keep on conquering. Peace.